There we go. All right. So no swearing, Anne. Your opportunity to swear is now over. There we go. Let's see. Christopher, you got to turn your camera on. Jared, camera on too.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Oh, bottom left. There should be a little start video.
There's a stop
Jared?
video.
Oh, maybe you don't have a camera.
No, I do.
Weird.
Oh, hold on.
Hi, Jessica.
Now we're cooking with bacon.
Sorry, I was muted. How are you, Chris?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Very good, thank you.
So everybody can chat now. I'll mute everybody if you want. You can either mute yourselves or I'll mute you when Greg starts his presentation. What time is it? 10:01. Is it okay if we give everybody a few more minutes?
Sure. How long do we have scheduled for this?
2 hours, but you could. This is unlimited.
We don't need that long. I saw 2 hours on my calendar, so I wanted to make rest assured, everyone, it won't take 2 hours. So no problem.
Have it if you need it.
Awesome. That's good. That's good. Is everybody? How's everybody doing? Everybody good?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I'm doing this now. I'm asking these questions now, like these nonsensical ones, just to see if we're going to get some participation when we start. So let's see how we do. Everybody staying healthy or what?
Yes.
No.
Oh, fire, yes.
No. Who said no?
Me. My whole family just had COVID. It was awful. I don't recommend it.
Who said? Is that Ian saying that?
It's Chris Pierce.
Oh, Chris. Oh, gee, I thought that was Ian. I'm sorry. Really? Everybody okay?
Everybody's good, but I
Good.
highly unrecommended, not recommended.
Not recommended, huh?
So,
Yeah. I have a friend with it, and so far, knock on wood, she's got sniffles and coughing, a little coughing. So
yeah, that's good.
a little tired, but not bad. She's, how old is she? She's probably like early 40s, relatively healthy. So, she's doing okay.
My whole
Yeah.
family.
Yeah,
I hear
wash your
somebody's
hands,
dog. That sounds like a
everybody.
big dog.
That's probably Johnny.
No, it's not me. I wish I had a dog. I want a dog. Jason, will you be my dog?
You are a dog.
Be a lap dog.
Jason,
poodle.
will you be my dog? Wow.
He's
We already have the line of the day.
a showcase poodle.
Oh boy. Well, let's see. We had 19 people registered. We have about half now. So it's up
That's
to you
about right.
what you want to do. I can keep letting people in.
We'll give it 2 more minutes. Usually it's not like 5 past is fine. People have to walk all the way to from their living room to their office or bedroom to their living room. It's a long way. They have to stop and get coffee in the kitchen along the way. So. Let's see. I was about to do something. Now I forgot what it was.
Share your screen.
No, I don't have to share my screen.
Oh, that's good.
Nah, we're just gonna talk. Like I said, this is a weird class to try to do. All of my classes are hard to do on Zoom, but this one's tough because it's really just mostly talking. So, but that's okay. As long as people participate, it will be just fine. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I was going to turn the ringer off on my phone. That's what it was.
So just everybody, so you know that's coming in, you are muted upon arrival. So if you want to chime in, just unmute yourself on the bottom left. And then try to remember to mute yourself again if you've got, stuff going on in the background, that's all.
Let's see. Man, boy, it got quiet.
I say you go for it.
You want to go
Jump
for
right
it?
in.
Okay. See, one other person just came in, so All right, Chris, what do you say?
Go for it. It's being
All right.
recorded so we can share everybody's awesome input with the whole company.
There we go. That sounds good. All right, Ian, Jason, do you have anything you want to start with, or should I jump right in?
You can jump right in, Greg.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right, so hi, everybody. I'm kind of like flipping through to see who I know and who I don't, but your faces are all about this big right now, so I'm kind of having a hard time. So I'm guessing there are probably a couple of people on that I have not met yet, so I'll just very quickly tell you who I am. My name is Greg DeCristofaro. I'm the business development manager for Homebridge Financial. And the first thing you should know about me is that I'm a realtor, not a lender. Okay. We're not going to have a lender come in and teach you where to find more listings. Okay. I was a top producing realtor for a long time, became a broker of some very large real estate offices, and regional lead generation and technology director for one of the big franchises, as well as a national speaker and coach for another one of the big franchises. So I've kind of seen this industry from every angle, and I'm going to go to one of my favorite subjects today, which is listings. Where are the listings? And I'm going to tell you exactly how this class began. I was at I was teaching an event down in Atlanta, Georgia, and there was about 2,200 people in the room. It was one of those big, what do you call it? Conferences, right? So I had about 2,200 people in the room, and somebody had asked me a question, and I just kind of like answered the question with a question. I said, well, let me put it this way. I said, where do you get your listings? And there was like dead silence in a room of 2,200 people. You would have thought it was like a Zoom room, but it was, it was just dead silence. And I was like, no, really, where do you guys get your listings from? And it was like pulling teeth to get answers out of that. So I was like, this is a bit of a problem. And I was thinking about it. And this is at the time, it was when really the internet had really taken over our industry. So it was, several years ago at this point, but I'm thinking all the training that's done is lead generating. It was all for buyers, and I'm like, geez, well, where are the listings? Like, where are people getting their listings from, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But when I started in real estate, it was 1999. And if you wanted business, there was one way to get it. You listed houses. Okay. The thing of buyer agency was really just starting to begin around then. So if you wanted business, you had to go and list. I had a broker who was he was just a listing machine. Okay. I worked in Rhode Island. I started my career in Rhode Island. And I worked at a place called DeFelice Realtors. And at one point in the late 1980s, DeFelice Realtors sold 1 out of every 3 houses in Rhode Island. They were on one side or the other of 1 out of every 3 transactions. You don't get that big by not listing houses. And if you met my broker, a guy named Tom, you would have learned that was all that he was interested in. Now, to a fault, okay? I don't want anybody to think here that you shouldn't be focusing on buyers as well. Tom taught us, you get listings and don't worry about the buyers. Over the top. It was more than we needed, you know what I mean? But it worked for him. He used to say things like, you have to list to exist, right? I'm sure you've heard some variation of that, right? He used to say, the one that got me, the one that really stuck in my head was when Tom said, I mentioned one day that working with buyers is kind of fun. I used to take floor duty on Sunday morning. The phone would ring, a buyer would call, I go meet him at the house and write up the offer for them, and I said to Tom that this is fun. He said, Greg, think about it. When you list a house, the entire MLS works for you. But when you work with a buyer, you work for the entire MLS. How can that be fun? So like he was always beating that into our heads, go get the FSBOs, go get the expireds. What the heck are you doing sitting here? You know what I mean? He was constantly talking to us about listings. One of the things that's really important to remember about listings is this. When you list, you control the inventory. Okay, so you're going to get more buyers. You're going to get buyers automatically. Just from having listings, buyers are going to call you. Now, granted, some of them are going to have realtors, but some of them are not. Okay, so you're going to have a better opportunity to meet more buyers, because if they don't want to buy your house, you can always start showing them other houses, can't you, and meet more buyers that way. Another reason that listings are important, and this is going a little deeper but it's something, I don't know who, everybody on the call, who on this call has been in this industry for more than 20 years? I see, you gotta remember, I see John, but I can only see like 4 of you at a time. So is it just John, no one else? Okay, so John, how many times have you heard over the past, 10, 20 years, real estate's going away? Realtors, that's going to be one of those jobs of the past. How many times have we heard that?
I remember seeing it on 60 Minutes.
I do too. I remember that too. And I was like, hell with them. And they've reported it more than once. They've reported that. You better believe it. You better believe it. So the bottom line is, when I get into real estate in 1999, somebody told me, actually several people told me, don't bother with that. That's not even going to be an industry 5 years from now. People who got into the industry last week are being told the same thing. You know why we're still around?
Because they need us.
They need us. Why do they need us? What do we have?
MLS power.
Yeah, we have the inventory. Right? See, here's the thing. MLS is nothing without listing. Zillow is nothing without MLS. MLS is nothing without listings. Who gets the listings?
Top producing agents.
There we go. That's why we're still here. That's why we're still here. Everybody with me on this? In other words, you need to understand something. The reason that we've been able to escape becoming extinct, like everybody keeps predicting for us, you see it all the time, right? You go on your little Google News feed and you see, the top 10 jobs disappearing. Real estate agents is always number 1 or 2 on that list. Guess what? There's more of us than ever now. There's 1.2, 1.3 million, something like that. I've lost track. When I started, there were about 700,000 of us. So it's going the other way. The reason is, we are the ones with the listings. The person with the listing is the person who controls the inventory. Don't forget that. Another great reason to have listings is you can do open houses. Open houses don't just give you listing and don't just give you buyers. Open houses give you opportunities for listings. Okay, this is the God's honest truth. My very first open house that I ever did alone. Okay, I sold the house and I listed those people's house from that open house. It's hard when that's your first one. You start thinking that that's how it's going to be. It's a little hard to. It's a little hard when you go to that next one and neither one of those things happens. But open houses are a good opportunity. We're going to talk a little bit about those as we go on. It's not just a seller coming to you. It's an opportunity for you to go knock on some doors and find out who else in the neighborhood might be thinking of selling. So, those are great opportunities you get with listings. And basically, I think we all know this one. The listing agent always gets paid. That's the last reason that I have that I think that listings are the most important part of our industry. The listing agent always gets paid. In other words, if that deal crashes, right, yes, there's still going to be another buyer coming along. Okay. And, there's not ever going to be a question of whether the listing agent was part of the cause of that house to sell because it was his or her listing. So if you're a buyer agent, sometimes you can get into a fight over procuring cause and things like that. No one's ever going to say, well, you didn't really list that house, so you shouldn't get the listing side of this. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody understand the reasons why it's really important to be listing houses? This is where everybody talks back, so I know you're listening.
Yes.
All right, there we go. So again, listings are important, and the biggest problem that we have with listings right now is, I'm gonna ask you all this, okay? Now that I know you're all out there, where are you getting your listing appointments from?
Past customers.
Past customers, very good. That's the number one place to get listings. Regardless of what all those ads and webinars and everything else are telling you, it's still the single most plentiful place for you to get a listing. Where else are you getting listing leads from?
Marketing.
I've already said a few of them.
Open houses, marketing.
Open houses, just said that, right? Absolutely. Where else?
Referrals.
Referrals, that's what John said, right?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, and that's good. It's so good we should hear it twice. So I'm glad you said that. Where else?
Sphere of influence.
Sphere of
Right.
influence, same thing. Referrals, right? We get them from our sphere, right? That's all the same. That's all the same bowl. How about expireds and FSBOs? Maybe not so much right now, like right at this moment, okay? But expires and FSBOs are a big part of it. Anything else? I'm surprised no one said Facebook yet. I always get that one for an answer. Does anybody here ever buy listing leads?
I've tried it unsuccessfully.
Yeah, they're unsuccessful, but most leads are. Again, you're going to close about 1 in 100. You're going to pay like 10 times as much for the listing lead. What about circle marketing? Anybody know what circle marketing is? I use circle marketing because it's a nice way of saying cold calling, right? It's not as scary as saying cold calling, right? Like I said, you pick up the phone, you call around a listing, and you ask people, right? Hey, do you know who else looking to buy or sell in your neighborhood? I have buyers there, stuff like that. We're going to talk more about these as we go. Like I said, social media, Facebook, Instagram, things like that. People buy leads. There's another one out there called absentee owners. Has anybody tried anything with an absentee owner? Does anybody know what absentee owner is? An
Landlord.
absentee owner. What's that, Kevin?
Like a landlord.
Yeah, it could be a land. Exactly. Either it's like a second house that they visit from time to time, or it's a landlord, right? Somebody who's renting it out. They don't live there, and that's believe it or not, that's a really good source for leads. Okay, and we're going to talk about some of these today. We don't have time to talk about all of them, but basically we're going to discuss definitely the top 4, which is weird. This is weird. I kind of put this class sort of on the back burner because 2 of the top 4 are really difficult to do right now. FSBOs and expireds. How come?
Nothing expires.
Nothing's expiring. And if something expires right now, what do you think's going on?
The seller's messed up.
It could be, right? Could be. At very least, it's a messed up price or messed up property. So there's something going on. So if you're going to go knock on an expired's door right now, you're going to probably want to be cautious, ask some questions and find out why that expired, right? Because remember, this is another thing. Sometimes we get so obsessed, and this was me, when I very, very first started in real estate, my first, 6 months or so, I became so jazzed up and so excited about getting listings. I forgot that I didn't get paid when I got a listing. I got paid when I sold the listing.
Mhm.
And that's when I started to get very selective in what I listed. Okay. So just want to be careful of those. But today we're going to talk about referrals, which is obviously the best way. It's been brought to us in a few different ways, right? Sphere of influence, friends, family, referrals, right? We're going to talk about expireds and FSBOs, although we're not going to talk about them so much, but I've been giving this a lot of thought. I'm not going to ignore those in today's class because the industry, there are still some FSBOs out there. Okay. There are some expireds out there, different areas. And it's not like this is going to be like this forever, although it's starting to feel like it, isn't it, John? It's starting to feel like this is never. What's that?
It's got to change.
It has to. I have never seen such a long seller's market. So it's going to change, and when it does, I think it's going to be a quick change. I don't think it's going to be a real slow, dragged out change. I think one of the big changes that could happen, and I'm going to ask Ian and Jason. I'm not sure. Is Jason still here? I only have a few people on the screen. I was under the impression one of the big things that I'm hoping is going to help, like break this log jam up is if the banks can start foreclosures. Where are we at with that, Ann? I know it's supposed to be January 15th. Has that started or what?
Not that I'm aware of, Jason.
I think so.
Oh, like you hear the articles and all that, but
I don't think there's a definitive date.
the
Well, there
problem-
was. January 15th was the date, but I know it was kind of up in the air.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a federal. The problem is that this goes just like real estate is local. It'll vary from, say, Texas to Massachusetts on when state regulatory agencies
Right.
and then the local municipality lenders will actually start doing it. So
Okay, so the federal moratorium ended on January 15th. Now it's
Correct.
up to the states. Is that what you're saying?
correct.
Okay, all right. So the reason I bring that up isn't because I want people to get kicked out of their home or don't. I don't want to turn anything political. What I'm saying is I think that one of the things that'll help free up this log jam is when a lot of these houses that a lot of people have been living in, hit that foreclosure market. I think that's going to start to free up some inventory. And I think it's going to be a pretty quick switch over is what I'm saying. Okay. I don't know when it's going to happen, but at some point in time, I don't know how it's going to happen. What's that?
Lawrence Yen, the chief economist for NAR,
Uh-huh.
saying rates will go up, and Jason and Ann can answer that, but they said by the second half of the year, we're gonna see no growth the first half of this year. The second half of this year, you're gonna begin to see the market soften. You're
Okay.
gonna see the inventory start to slow down. You're gonna see buyers getting ahead of it.
There
No
you go.
dramatic change, nothing dramatic, but he's saying the second half of this year will absolutely see a change in the market.
Well, and again, we need to, right? We need to at some point.
We're already seeing the rates going up as the
Yes.
bond market's getting hammered
Yeah.
the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the rates are already on the rise, and right now, the forecast is for them to continue to move upward, which is gonna change the dynamics.
It will.
and our dear friends Fannie and Freddie also imposed a hit on second homes, which is going to hurt, say, like the Cape market or the oceanfront properties.
Now, what's that hit, Jason?
Well, it's what's
Already.
called a loan level price adjustment. It's basically a money grab, to be blunt. It's what they charge us lenders for sending them a file that is a second home. So how it ends up being is a rate bump. So it's that at the end of the day. And they're also doing it on high balance loans. So, and these are for loans delivered, was it March 1st or February 1st? I forget.
Delivered February 1st.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
so-
March 1st. So the hit comes now because.
So it's
people-
already started.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's okay. So it's not like everybody can say, hey, if you're buying a second home, do it now before the second hit happens. It's already happened.
But by the time you close, you're probably at March
Right.
1st. Very
Oh,
close.
so it's by the time you close, not by the
Closed
time.
and
You got to deliver
it's
it.
closed and sold to Fannie and Freddie. So there's that whole, timeline.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is a high balance loan with a current new purchase mortgage?
Good question.
Do you want to go, Jason? Oh.
Oh, go ahead. It
High
varies.
balance loan for Fannie and Freddie, depending on county, but let's say in Plymouth, Norfolk, Middlesex, Suffolk counties, anything over $647,200 is considered a high balance loan. It's a very nice round number. That's why we have to cheat
Randomly
usually.
round, right?
Oh, God.
So a loan of like 647,201 and above is considered a
Okay.
high balance loan.
And that goes up to 770, right?
770,500, another nice round number. They couldn't have
Now-
done 770.
Doesn't matter how much of a down payment they have? or
No,
if
it's
they
all
have
about the
equity?
loan amount.
It's the loan amount, really, for single
Right.
family homes. And what does that bump up? 8%?
That will depend on what they put down in credit score and such. It's like a matrix of where they fall in and what that hit ends up being.
And what range? 16th, 8th, quarter? Half?
It's
Well,
it's gonna
it's
be a
hard.
quarter and at least a quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, most likely.
Unless they're
Mm.
putting like 30, 50% down.
I was gonna say, I
And that's
think,
already in effect right now.
correct.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Well,
movement.
real quick, can you illustrate what does a 1/4% do to someone's buying power? So if they had $400,000, my average buyer is probably say $450,000. If the rates go up and they're pre-approved for 450, the rates go up 1/4%. I'm just curious, how does that affect their buying power?
Want to do it, Jason?
I got the calculator. Hold on.
By the way, while Jason's doing that, the greatest tool I have ever found in my real estate days is Carl's Mortgage Calculator with a K. You guys ever, if you don't have it, put it on your phone immediately. Carl's Mortgage Calculator, KARL. It is the easiest mortgage calculator in the world. It's wonderful.
It's an
About
app.
70
And
bucks.
it's free. What's that, John?
To answer John's question, it's about
Yes.
70 bucks a month in debt. It's not terribly much. You know,
$70 a month is,
yeah, for some people, that's a
You
lot.
know.
I mean, yeah, so, 70
What
bucks
does
could be,
that, Jason, what does that equate to dollar wise? So they can't.
I would, yeah, probably like 30 to 40-ish grand,
Wow, that much?
probably.
Wow. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
crazy. All right, so we got that. Thank you, Ian and Jason. So again,
Actually, I
not
gotta
gonna-
jump,
because of
guys.
all of that. What's that?
I actually have to jump. I got up 10:30. that I gotta go to.
Is there
It was
anybody
good-
here that's
good
gonna
seeing
miss me?
everybody. No one's gonna miss me except John a little.
Thanks, Gravel. Take care. All right, so everyone, so you basically, because of this, I don't feel like ignoring FSBOs and expireds is a great thing to do. I'm not going to spend as much time on it as I normally would, but we are going to cover those. We're also going to talk about circle marketing, which I think is very important. And then if we have time, which we will, we're going to talk about absentee owners. What I'm not going to talk about today is Facebook and buying leads. Okay. Number one, I'm not really a Facebook person. It's not my thing. I believe that, Facebook used properly for sellers is basically what we're going to talk about first, which is the referral anyway. In other words, in order for you to get now I'm saying loans because we're talking about loans. For you to get referrals on listings, you have to have top of mind, and you can use your Facebook and your social media to help you get that top of mind. It also doesn't hurt to use a product like, and this is really all I'm going to say on the social media part of this for today, Hootsuite. Have you all heard of Hootsuite? HOOTSUITE.
Yes.
Hootsuite is a good way for you to load in all of your social media usernames and passwords, and it will kind of like comb your friends and your friends' friends, and you can put in keywords such as moving, new job, baby, married, those little trigger words that make a realtor say, you're going to be buying a house, you're going to be selling a house. Okay. And it'll kind of like search those for you. And you can kind of do a little, I guess we'll call it some cyber stalking, based on that. And that's Hootsuite. Okay. So all I'm going to say about social media today is two things. Number one, make it part of your referral top of mind business. Not all of it, just part of it. And number two, if you're up for a little cyber stalking, Hootsuite is a tool that you may want to use. Okay. Finally, I will, if we have time, talk about online forms, free reports. This is something that John and I are very familiar with from the days before we had, Zillow and other ways to capture leads. We used to dangle free reports to people, get their phone number and get their address so we could mail it to them. And we would capture a lead that way. We can do that in an internet kind of way as well. And hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that before we go.
Not to interrupt, but they all have that tool, and we can talk about that later.
They have that tool in what regard?
They all have lead capture through Cloud CMA for reports, and they all have free access to it.
Do they have the free reports in there?
It's a form. When you get to it, I'll show you.
Okay, very good. All right. So with that, that's all I'm going to have on this. That's all I'm going to say about the in general stuff. I'm going to get more specific into those 4 subjects now. Now, what I'm going to do at the end of today's class, I sent Chris this packet right here that has a whole bunch of scripts. I'm going to reference scripts. I'm not going to sit here and read them to you. The reason I asked Chris not to send it out until after the class, okay, and here's why. There is nothing special in these scripts. And if you have them in front of you, you'll be sitting here reading these non-special scripts instead of paying attention to what's going on in the class. So that's why we save it. Here's the thing about scripts. Here's a dirty little secret. As long as a script is basic and gets to the point and does it in a short amount of time, your script is going to work fine. The thing about scripts is you just have to use them. So the wording is not the most important part of this. It's actually getting comfortable with them, picking up the phone and using them. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to start off now with referral business. Now, most of you have taken classes with me before, haven't you? And you've probably heard me use the words top of mind, correct? I use it I used it when I was at your office last time doing business planning. We talked about top of mind. We talked about referral business. It's just that important. So it should be no surprise to any of you that have worked with me before that this is the first thing I'm going to talk about today. Because John said it. When I said, where do you get listing leads? John immediately said referrals, right? He's, my sphere of influence. Okay. Kevin said it, and somebody else said sphere of influence. I think it was Chris. This is where the vast majority of your listings come from. talk to the listing agents that you know, the ones that are known for listing lots of houses, and ask them where they get their listings. They will tell you it comes from their sphere of influence. Okay, that's where the vast majority of them come from. So we need to talk about that first. Now, I'm not going to take the whole, take you through the entire course, that we normally do. But again, I want to talk about what is top of mind. How do you get referral leads? See, here's the thing. When we talk about referral leads and all of these other classes that we do, you're probably thinking buyer leads. Well, guess what? In the referral world, okay, it's about 50-50. About half the leads you get are going to be for listings, not for buyers. And I don't think there's anything more valuable than a listing lead. I really don't. It's what we want. So why don't we spend more time focusing on that referral business, getting that top of mind and getting those leads? Great, Greg, that sounds wonderful. How do we do it? Well, the concept is actually really, really simple. You need top of mind. Top of mind means that when they think of real estate, they think of you first, right? We've talked about this. Someone's driving down the street, they see a house for sale. Doesn't matter whose sign is out there. It could be a Success sign, a Remax sign. It doesn't matter. They instantly think of John. They think of John Conley. What does that mean? That means that John Conley has top of mind when they think of a real estate agent. It's like when you say the word teacher, what teacher pops into mind first? That's the one that has top of mind for you as a teacher. Now, like I tell you guys all the time, just having top of mind is not enough. You need to both have top of mind and make sure that that person not only remembers, hey, John Conley can sell my house for me. They need to know that John Conley works by referral. So it's a two-step process. So when we are getting that top of mind, we need to add the step to make sure that they understand how our business works, and it's by referral. Okay. So what I mean by that is this. I want to make sure that I get my message out there to these people often enough that they think of me first, and they know I work by referral, so that if they don't need me, but they're talking to someone who says, hey, we're having a baby and we just outgrew this house, it's going to pop into their minds without them even realizing it. You should call John Conley. Now, that may sound to some people who have never done this, that probably sounds like a pipe dream. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, if it was only that easy. John, is that not exactly how it works?
Well, you just got to keep in mind. It's what I want to learn today is how do I keep that in mind? Because
that's exactly right.
I see some of my past clients, next door neighbors selling with somebody else, and I want to. That's why I'm tuning in today. I want you to teach me how to keep them in mind.
Well, good. All right. So basically, here's the thing, and I'm going to jump into that next, John. When I got started in real estate, I wasn't a kid anymore. I was in my 30s, I guess. Wow, I was in my 30s. I was about 30 years old. I wasn't a kid. So I was smart enough. I walked up to the two top agents in my office, and I at separate times, separate rooms. They weren't together, and they were two polar opposite people, complete opposites in personality, the way they did business, everything. And I asked them both, what do you wish you knew on your first day that you know now? In other words, what would you change? You know what I mean? What do you wish you knew then? And both of them told me, I wish I stayed in better touch with my past clients. And I was blown away by that, because I was like, wait a minute, like, isn't that just automatic? Like, why would you not stay in touch with your past clients? And you don't realize how we get busy and whatnot, and things happen, So it's like, oh, okay, this is a little bit nuts. But then we get busy and we don't reach out to them. Okay. And one day I was in a restaurant with my mother, and a woman walked up to me and said, Greg, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, good. And I had no idea who she was. She was the third or fourth person I ever sold a house to. She remembered me. I didn't remember her. That was a big wake-up call for me. And I went right back to my conversations with Gail and Elliot, who both told me, I wish I stayed in better touch with my past clients. Now here's John saying, how do I stay in better touch with these people? And the answer is actually quite simple. How many of you have taken my sphere of influence classes? I know you have, John. I was waiting for you to wave. Okay, so here's the answer. Here's the answer. Every single one of your past clients, do they belong in your sphere of influence? Of course they do. Now, how do we treat our sphere of influence to make sure that we get top of mind and make sure they know that we work by referral? How do we do that? We reach out to them at least 30 times a year. 30 times a year. And that number scares a lot of people, but don't be scared by the number. Okay, because it's not what you're thinking. See, here's the thing. A lot of people think it's like, okay, this is my past client. I need a special campaign for them. I need a special way of reaching out to them. Like I need to send them like a CMA once a year. So Ian, do you have HomeBots? Do you have HomeBot, Ian? You're muted.
HomeBot.
Do you have HomeBot? Okay, so
I use HomeBot.
John, I would like you to talk to Ian about HomeBot, okay? But that's
Awesome.
above and beyond. It's a great product. It's
Is that the one that gives you the value? It gives the value.
Yes.
Jason
Yes.
Smith sent it to me. I'm going through it now and I'm going to work with Christy Pierce. Got it.
Fantastic. Okay. So if you want to do something special just because they are sellers, find a loan officer like Ian or Jason that has HomeBot. Okay. It will do it for you automatically. It's going to keep sending them market value. It's going to tell them how much their home is worth. It's going to help them build equity in their entire business and their personal finances and whatnot. But you don't need to do that. Okay. It's good to do. Don't get me wrong. If you take every single person in your sphere, and I'm like, please do this, okay? And you just do those simple 30 touches that we're always talking about, you're never going to lose top of mind with them, ever. And you're always going to get referrals from them. So what are those 30 touches? Because that's a big, scary number, isn't it? Did anybody hang up on us, actually? Ian, did we lose anybody? It doesn't look it. No, we still have 12. Good. Okay. So sometimes people hear that number 30 and they just, whoops, disconnected. So here it is. Once a month, you're going to send them an email. One email a month. Is that bothering anybody? No, no.
We
Once
also
a
have a
month?
tool for that too, and I'll go over that later.
Who, you guys have a tool for that? Was that Chris who said that?
It was.
There you go. Okay. So as long as you have a drip campaign that's ready to go, right? This is simple stuff because all you need to do is put the people in there and once a month it just goes. Chris, does your product do postcards as well, like physical postcards?
No, it's a market activity report that comes from our individual agents. But
Okay,
it's
perfect.
email.
All right. So that handles your 12 emails. The next thing I want you to do is once you have a budget for this, I want you to send out one postcard a month to everybody in your sphere of influence, an actual physical postcard that they pull out of their mailbox. Why? Those are awful. Nobody does those. Exactly. Nobody does those. That's why they have value. You know, emails are like kind of free. So everybody does that and people are deleting them. Now, great. Look, they're better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. They're seeing your name, right? The product that you guys are sending out has some value, market and stuff like that. So they're seeing it, but actually picking up a postcard, there's a lot of mental psychological things going on there. So first of all, remember, we're talking about your sphere of influence. This is your friends, your family, your neighbors, your past clients, people went to high school with, people went to college with, basically anybody you know. If you're both walking down the street and you see each other, you'd stop and say hi. That's what your sphere of influence is. These are not people who may think of you as a real estate agent. They may not think of you as a real estate professional. They may remember you from when you were in high school, running around, getting into trouble and stuff like that. You need to do a couple of things. Number one, you need to let them know that this is my job and I take it very serious and I treat it like a business. And the reason that we use the postcards for this is because if you think about it, most of the postcards that you get in the mail is somebody trying to sell you something, isn't it? So you need this postcard as a step to make somebody say, oh, you know what? John Conley, I should really be trying to, get him some real estate business every now and then. I kind of forget that he owns a business. You know what I'm saying? One of the things about real estate agents is, we work from our cars, we work from our homes. I mean, yes, we have an office, but, we're all over the place. And, a lot of people don't realize that this is a business and they don't think of you as somebody who has to solicit business from them. The example I always give is this: if you owned a pizza parlor, would you not be sending menus out and telling people, hey, tell your friends to come and try my pizza? Of course you would, right? Or you'd be out of business really quick. Real estate's no different. Okay. And if you don't get your friends and family, the people who know you as something else, right? Greg, the nightclub manager, John, what did you do before real estate? I don't remember.
Sales. I was in transportation sales.
Okay. So
yeah, I was in transportation, but I really cut my teeth doing selling office equipment, copiers,
Okay.
machines.
So I might look at my printer over here and think of John Conley. That's not what John wants me to think of anymore, is it? So it's up to John to make sure that that he sells real estate now. Does that make sense? That postcard will do that for you. Another thing is it's physical. They touch it. And yes, they're going to throw it away, but they're getting a good reminder that you're looking to get some business from them while they're throwing it away. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay. So 12 emails, 12 postcards. Does that bother anybody? We're already at 24 touches. 4 times a year. 4 times a year. I want you to pick up the phone and I want you to read this script, which is page 1 of what Chris is going to send you. Okay, this is your sphere call script for referrals. And on it, it says, hey, it's Greg from blank, Greg from Success, and I catch you at a good time. You've all heard my script before. Again, I'm not going to sit here and read scripts to you today. Your time is more valuable than that. You're all going to have it. I guarantee you this is the easiest script that actually works that you will be able to read. I have spent years reading the script to people. Years. Okay. And it works. The whole purpose of it is just to say, hey, who do you know that's looking to buy or sell real estate? And when they say nobody, because that's what they're going to say most of the time, you say, that's fine. If you do think of somebody, can you let me know? What am I building? Top of mind.
Top of mind.
Top of mind. I want you to remember this. Every phone call I want you to make is not to get you a lead. It's to get you top of mind, because top of mind turns into leads. You understand? You can call your sphere of influence of 250 people and be told no 250 times. And I guarantee you it's the most successful 250 calls you're going to make, because it gave you top of mind from those 250 people. But you got to do it 4 times a year. The script right here will take you about 45 seconds to deliver. 45 seconds. That's it. So in other words, is it bothering people for you to spend less than 4 minutes a year talking to them about real estate? No. You know who it bothers? It bothers us. We don't want to make the calls. We don't want to make the calls. We would much rather do this on social media. We want to text people. We want to email them, whatever it may be. Look, here's the thing. You want to be a listing agent, you need to be a people person. You need to pick up the phone and you need to make the call. And after you make the call, you follow it up with a handwritten thank you note. You go buy some thank you cards from Amazon or wherever you want to buy them, and you follow this little script on the bottom here that thanks them for helping you grow your business, even though they didn't have anybody for you. The fact that they took the call and are thinking about it for you helps you grow your business. And that right there goes into their heads. And they say, yeah, you know what? It really would be nice if I did hear of somebody, I could give John a call. He'd like that, right?
Greg, can I
Sure.
ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say the majority of people nowadays don't answer their phones when it rings.
Don't
Mine's
forget,
ringing right now.
you're talking about your sphere of influence. I disagree. I
Well,
disagree. They don't answer phones.
Mike,
calls
let me
they
ask
don't
Mike,
know.
I have a question. The reason why
Yeah.
I'm saying is I have a question is that I'm not always available to pick up my phone either. So if someone calls me, do you leave a message for
Absolutely.
that person or do you
Yeah.
call back?
No. And I'm glad you asked that. And again, if I was doing the long version, like of the class, I would go deep into that, but I'm glad you asked it because I will go into it a little bit. First of all, I don't agree that most people don't answer their phone. They don't answer their phone if it's a number they don't know, right? Or obviously if like, oh, Ian's calling, but I'm busy, I'll call her back later. They might not answer the call. But remember, this is our sphere of influence. This is people we know. So they are more likely to answer. But if they don't, and this is important, I don't want you to think that I'm trying to turn you into a dialing machine. What is a dialing machine? A dialing machine is one of those trainers that come out and tell you, you take your list and you call it and you dial every day and you call everybody. And all the ones that didn't answer, you call them again tomorrow and then the next day and then the next day. And then I would never do that myself. And I would never ask you to do that. The key here is just to get the message out there. So if they don't answer the phone, you leave your message, you leave your script as a message. Just leave the script as a message. Hey, it's Greg. I was just thinking, just looking. I'm making some business calls here. So I really messed myself up at the beginning, but I'm just doing some of my business calls, and I was just wondering if it would be okay to ask you for some help every now and then, because I'm wondering if you know anybody who might be looking to buy or sell real estate. If you do, can you give me a call and let me know? And if not, I totally understand. I'll check back with you at another time. That's all. And I leave the message. Again, I'm not expecting them to say yes. Okay, what I really want is for them to hear this enough that automatically they start thinking it. Does that make sense to everybody? Does everybody understand what I mean when I say you have to get in touch with them? You have to stay in touch to get top of mind. John, you said that you were on this call basically for that right there. Any surprises there? Did you hear what you expected to hear from me?
I did. The only thing I ask of you is you had just said, the pizza place, right? Like your local pizza shop, he's going to send out, menus.
Menus, yeah.
What about the pizza guy that sits back and says Friday afternoons, between 4 and 7, half price second pizza or something like that? Is there a catch that we should be sending? We have to be cautious. We can't, there's a gift, any referral. I mean, is that cheesy? Is that too cheesy?
Are we talking about like saying like if you refer me business,
I'll give you
I will give you something? Is that
I'll give you a $100 gift card to the local mall. I mean, is that cheesy?
I'm going to leave that question to your broker because I don't know the laws of Massachusetts. That may or may not be
You
taboo
can't
to
give
do.
cash. You can give a gift. You cannot give cash.
Okay. All right. So there you go. So assuming that's the case, no, that's fine. I know people who do client appreciation parties all the time. See, here's the thing. What we're talking about today is the basics, right? The things everybody does. As you get more successful, you add to that. So I have a friend, he does out in Newton, who does client appreciation party once a year. One year he did a beer tasting. Another year he did a whiskey tasting. He did a wine tasting. The last time right before COVID, he did, everybody came in and made their own pie. You could come in and make this big pie right before Thanksgiving. So he always comes up with this creative thing. Some people rent out a movie theater. No, not the whole, not the whole place, but an actual theater, and they have a movie night. Some people do things like a picnic in the summer in the parks, so those are all things that you can add, John, specifically for past clients. That guy, Elliot, that I was talking about earlier, used to buy a dozen roses for every single person who had a closing that year. And every Christmas Eve, he would go by and deliver roses. Okay. I don't know why roses, but it's what he became known for. And he would spend all day Christmas Eve delivering roses. Notice I didn't say having roses delivered. He delivered them himself. Right. Okay. So all of those are things that you can do. I really like the idea of what Chris was talking about, a market snapshot. And I like the idea of what Ann was saying, or what I was saying with Ann about the home bot, which is very personalized specifically to your house, not to your area. So those are two things you can do. You can always add those extra little pieces. But to be honest with you, really, if you're doing these 30 touches consistently, year over year over year, you honestly don't have to do those other things. You can. Right? You're investing back in your business, and it might, sniff out those couple of people who have been missing you, but you don't have to because the top of mind is already there. But I'm not saying not to do it either. Does that make sense?
Yep. Thank
you.
You.
So for those of you who are not in a position to start renting out movie theaters and having like appreciation parties, don't worry about it. You're still going to get the results. Okay. Any questions on how we handle our referrals, our sphere of influence, our past clients, repeat business? All of that's covered under this.
Yep.
No questions at all? You've all heard it before from me, haven't you?
Yep.
Right? You've all heard it. Okay. That's number one. Number two, I want to talk about FSBOs and expireds. Now, in my packet of scripts here, you're going to find an expired script that is 2 pages long. That's the far and away the longest script you'll ever see from me. Okay. Actually, the FSBO script is longer, but it has instructions with it. Okay. But basically, the expired script, let's talk about expireds and FSBOs. First of all, I'm assuming everybody knows what they are, but I shouldn't. An expired is a listing that was listed with an agent. It did not sell. The contract ended. Now it's showing up in MLS as expired. The house didn't sell. The market rejected this house. Expireds can be a little on the ornery side, can't they? Anybody here ever pursued expired listings? That was my bread and butter. When I started in real estate, I talked to everybody I knew about getting business. I did open houses and I did expireds. I got very, very good at expireds. Okay. And I have not delivered my expired script in I don't know how many years, but I still know it like yesterday. Okay. Here's the thing about expired listings. The sellers are on the ornery side. Why? Because I just said it, the market rejected their house. It said, we don't want your house at your price. Okay. So they can be a little testy when you get to them. Here's another thing about expireds. Some of them don't even know that their listing expired. So here's what happens. This is the life of a listing. Okay. Here's the life of a listing. A real estate agent goes out, gets a listing. That listing goes on MLS and it becomes their baby, right? They're going to take these beautiful pictures. They're going to have the sign up. They're going to go in, do all of the, great description for the MLS. They're going to have a photographer do the pictures, aerial photos, this, that, everything's great, right? Everything's wonderful. Some calls are coming in, there's showings, and then the house doesn't sell. Couple of weeks goes by, the phone stops ringing. A month goes by, you ask for a price drop. The seller says, no, this is what I have to get for it. No price drop. We said we were going to get this price. We're going to get this price. 2 months go by. You're calling the seller every week saying, hey, not a whole lot new to report, blah, blah, blah. By the 3rd month, are you calling that seller anymore? A lot of people are not. And again, that's a mistake and that's a problem. Okay. Make sure you stay in touch every week as long as you have that listing. But little by little, what happens is we lose interest in the listing. We lose interest in the seller. The seller loses interest in us, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long your listing is goes by, you come by at night, you grab your sign and, off you go. That's if you ever come by and grab the sign at all. And then the next thing you know, the seller is getting phone calls or getting people knocking on the door saying, hey, I noticed that your listing expired. Are you still interested in selling? Now that seller may say, what? My listing expired? I didn't even know that. And they say, are you still interested in selling? And their instinct is to say what? No. Why? Because who's going to say yes after you just lost? You understand what I'm telling you? They don't want to say yes. And most of the people who I watch train on expireds always start with the same question. I noticed that your listing has expired. Are you still interested in selling? And here's the problem with that script. As soon as they say no, you're kind of dead in the water, aren't you? Because you might say, why not? But now you're challenging someone, right, who's upset and they're upset. And now not only are you challenging somebody who's upset, you're challenging about the very thing that has them upset. And it can create a very difficult, combative, early conversation. And for a lot of us, those are hard to get out of. Okay. So one of the things that I found was it's much easier, and it throws them off a little bit, which is never a bad thing. It throws them off a little bit when you say, hey, I noticed that your listing just expired. I was wondering if you could tell me why you listed the house in the first place. Why do you think I do that?
Because you want to know the answer, the motivation. I want
to know the motivation because more importantly than that, I need to remind them. I don't technically, do I care why they're selling the house? No, I want to know the motivation, but if we can sell the house, let's sell the house, right? I need them to remember why they listed the house. What was the problem or the reason to list that house in the first place? Because I know if I just walk in and ask them, hey, do you still want to sell this house after the market rejected them? More often than not, I'm going to hear no. Or I'm going to hear something along these lines. And this is a hard one to, this is a hard objection to handle. You still want to sell your house? Yeah, if somebody's going to give me what it's worth, I'm not going to give it away. And they're not going to say it happy. You're going to come in here, you're going to tell me to drop my price, blah, blah, blah. It's combative instantly. If I say to you, why were you looking to sell the house in the first place? They're going to say, we were thinking that maybe we would. Now they're talking in the past tense. We were thinking that maybe we would move to a smaller house because the kids are gone. We were thinking, the taxes are so high here. We wanted to move somewhere more rural, get lower taxes, whatever it may be, whatever their reason is, right? They're going to tell you at that point, okay? And then what I like to say at that point is, okay, so let's just use the example of the kids. So the kids have moved out. So, oh, that's cool. It's this. You guys have some extra space now. Have the kids moved back in? No, they're still gone. All right. So then what I'm hearing is, if you could, you would still sell this house, correct? So I kind of yes them into their answer. Does that make sense to everybody? So for example, if they say, well, you know what, it's just too cold here in Massachusetts, we're retired, we're going to move to Florida. Have you heard that one once or 1,000 times? Right? So you're going to say to them, all right, great. All right. Oh, if I'll tell you what, for all the reasons I know to move, that's a damn good one. You don't think it's going to start getting any warmer here in Massachusetts every year, do you? No, it's still going to stay cold, right? So then basically, ideally speaking, if you could, you'd still sell this house, right? It's an affirmative close. Get them to say yes a couple of times to what you know the answer is, and then agree with them into a yes. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yep,
You need another example of it, or does that make sense?
makes sense.
Okay. And since John's the only one talking, John and Kevin are the only two talking, if it makes sense to those two, we move on. That's how it works, okay?
All right, sure.
All right. So basically, once we get them at least to accept, and believe it or not, this is a bigger challenge than you would think. Once we get them to say, yes, I would still sell the house, we can then move into the actual script, which you will see right here. Okay. And basically say to them, so that's interesting, because what I find is there's only 3 reasons why a home doesn't sell. And you got to do these in the right order. Okay. And that is marketing, condition, and price. Notice I always do price last. Everybody turn off your mute for a minute and answer me. Why does an expired not sell?
Price.
Condition.
Marketing, conditioning, price.
What is marketing and condition can be fixed by what?
Price.
Price. So if the condition of the house is bad, I can do 2 things. I can spend money and fix it and add it to the price of the house, or I can drop the price, right? And sell it kind of in the condition that it's in. Price is the real reason why a house doesn't sell. Can we all kind of, in a moment of honesty, just admit that once it gets to the right price, it's going to sell with or without us?
Correct.
I mean, we don't like to say that. We like to think we sold the house. We don't sell houses. I hope you all understand that. We do not sell houses. Houses sell houses. People buy houses. I am not going to ever convince John Conley to move into a neighborhood he doesn't want to live in a house with too many stairs and not enough bedrooms, because I'm that good of a salesman. It's got to be the town that he wants, the price range he wants, the number of bedrooms that he needs, and things like that. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
And the price.
And the price. So we don't sell prices. So this is kind of a hard conversation for us to have. The fact of the matter is, if it was priced at a sellable point, the house would sell. If you walk up to a FSBO's door, an expired's door, and say your house didn't sell because it was overpriced, you're going to get thrown out because you think the other agent didn't tell them that. Of course they did. Of course they did. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of back our way into this. Okay. So look, there's 3 reasons why a house doesn't sell. And that is marketing, condition, and price. If you have a few minutes, I'd like to just ask you a few questions and find out which of those 3 things, or what combination of those 3 things, is why your home didn't sell. Do you think a person whose house didn't sell is going to be curious to find out why their house didn't sell, other than just price?
Sure.
Yeah.
So basically, at that point, it's your opportunity to set up a listing appointment. Now, if you are like me, I go door to door. You can do this over the phone, but I'm telling you right now, my success with expireds comes knocking on the door. Obviously, if you're going to be doing that, don't go alone, follow your safety procedures. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to tell you this. A person standing at the door smiling is not going to get yelled at and screamed at and a door slammed in their face. If you do it on the phone, you're going to get yelled at and screamed at and, hung up on. Not by everybody, but by some people. So don't just immediately rule out door to door. It's real hard to be mean to a smiling person standing face to face with you. You follow what I'm telling you? Okay. So the objective is to get in and say, all right, look, so what I'd like to do is ask you a few questions. I could either do it right now, or we could set an appointment for this, but I want to ask you some questions to find out which of those 3 things went wrong. Great. So you get an appointment, you go in then, whatever it may be, and you're going to start with marketing. What I do is I always had a sheet. Here's all the marketing things that I do. Now, you have to keep in mind, we have a code of ethics in real estate, and it's good for you because attacking doesn't work. Oh, your agent was Ann Schwartz. Well, no wonder it didn't sell. Right? That is no approach. looking and saying, look, I'm looking at your MLS sheet. No wonder this house didn't sell. This thing's a mess. Not going to make you any fans. Okay. Always come from a positive approach. Don't talk about what the other guy didn't do. Talk about what you're going to do. Does that make sense to everybody? Take out your list of every single thing that you do and ask them, did they do this? 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 Blah, 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 blah. And your list can be endless. Okay, every little thing that you do. I'm going to give you a big example of this. How many of you, when you go on a listing appointment, explains to people that you're not just going to put their listing on the MLS, you're going to put it on hundreds of syndicated websites that people could be searching around the country looking for homes, to make sure that no matter what website somebody's looking at, they're going to see your listing. How many of you actually say that during a listing appointment? John, good. Kevin,
Yep,
good.
Definitely, yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. Everybody does that. It happens automatically when it goes on MLS, doesn't it? But if you happen to be the only one smart enough to mention it, and that other listing agent didn't, that might be what gets you. Even though that other guy's, it's going to happen with his listing too. He didn't mention it. John and Kevin did. They're going to get the listing. You see what I'm saying? So list everything. Okay. Did he do this? Did he do this? Did he do that? Okay. All right. Well, I see a couple of things here that I probably would have done different. I see a couple of things on the MLS sheet that I would have changed. Okay. Right. Maybe I would have changed this description. I think this, you have the beautiful backyard that I don't think is really talked about enough in the description. I don't think the photos show it. Right? Bring up a couple of little things like that and say, let's talk about condition. Could you do me a favor? Can you show me the house? Walk me through the house as if I'm a buyer and you're showing me the house. And then here's where you got to be careful. Now, look, if a house is a disaster, it's a disaster. You know what I mean? You have to be kind of like, look, listen, there are certain things that we have to do to get this house sellable, you have to have those very real conversations. Like, listen, when I walked in here, I smelled cat. Is it possible for us to put the litter box downstairs or something like that? Put in like one of those little swing doors in the basement, the basement door, stuff like that. But for the most part, you don't want to go in there and insult somebody's house. And most houses are not a disaster. But basically, if you can point out like, maybe the shrubbery is a little overgrown. Maybe the landscaping in the back isn't quite, the grass isn't cut. Maybe you look up at the ceiling and you see, the dreaded brown spot, right? That stain right now, and you can look at it and that stain was from years ago. But what is the first thing that a buyer sees?
Active
Oh God, water! This house is let's get out of here now. Something about stains, water stains, scares the hell out of buyers. I don't know why, but it does. Okay. You want to point out a couple of the obvious things that buyers are seeing. Clutter. What happens if you guys could see my office right now, you'd be laughing. Okay. Clutter. What do we tell them? How do we tell people to get rid of all that clutter in the house?
Remove your personal belongings.
Pre-pack. Let's get some pre-packing done. Right now, personal belongings, that's another thing, right? You go into somebody's house and that house is loaded with photos and pictures and stuff hanging from the refrigerator and stuff. And John, as well as I do, that's a problem for buyers, isn't it? How come?
Personal pictures, family pictures.
Yeah.
Because it takes the family out of it. They can't picture their family because they can only imagine the seller's family there. I always say wedding, baby pictures, take everything down.
Bingo.
Depersonalize it.
Depersonalize your house and explain to them why. See, here's the thing, right? Like these photos, they're beautiful. They're great. It shows how much fun you're having in the house. But that's the problem. They can't see their family in this house because all they can see now is your family in this house. But when you have a room that has too much stuff in it, tell them, hey, maybe we could do some pre-packing here. You're going to move anyway. We're going to sell this house. You're going to move anyway. Let's get everything you don't need. Let's box it up and let's put it somewhere. Basement, garage, something like that. We want to make this place look big and eerie and light as possible. Right? So I point out some of that stuff. And then I'm going to say to them, all right, look, we could do a little pre-packing. There's definitely a few things that I would do on the marketing, but all in all, the house isn't bad. Let me ask you something. And this is where the rubber meets the road. How'd you guys come up with your price?
Right? That's a good question.
How did you come up with your price? And that's when they go back to that original listing appointment and they demanded the listing agent listed at 450,000, even though the listing agent kept saying 425 or 400. You see what I'm saying? Whose idea was this price? Okay, so see, because here's what I'm going to tell you. So John, here's the thing. I see, like I said, a couple things on marketing, a couple things condition-wise. I don't think either of these are why your house isn't selling, although they contributed. But what I'm thinking is it's probably a combination of all three. And here's what I would like to do. I would like to go back to my office and do my own market analysis. I want to go back, and this takes me a while. And by the way, this is a class I can teach for you guys as well. I do a very cool CMA presentation, which looks like I spent hours or even days on it, and I can come back and show numbers, and it's very good to get the right price. I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a market analysis for you. I'm going to show you all of my adjustments, and I'm going to come up with a price that I think this house should be listed at. Now, it might be higher, it might be the same, or it might be lower, but when I come back, you're going to see exactly how I came to that number. Would that be okay? Because honestly, I think what we have here is a combination of all three. Would that be all right with you? What did I just set up for myself?
Well, that's good because you're not pushing price down their throat.
What's that?
You're not pushing price down their throat.
I'm not pushing price. In fact, if I come back, if I'm going to tell them to reduce their price, if I'm going to tell them that, I'm going to have proof with me.
Right.
Okay. But what I just got was a listing appointment, didn't I?
Yep.
Everybody understand how that works? Okay. Now, again, that's something that doesn't just happen with one read through the script, but it is something that will happen. It is something that will happen with, it is something that'll happen as you get more experience doing this. I used to list a lot of expireds. I don't remember my percentage, but it was way higher than anybody else in my office. And I just told you guys the approach that I take to do it. Does anybody have any questions on expireds? Again, remember, we're not doing a full class on any of these things. We're doing an overview on each of them. So any questions on expireds?
Got it.
Got it. Let's talk about for sale by owner. Okay, for sale by owner. What's a for sale by owner? That's a person who decided they're going to list the house on their own. And what you're going to see here is 3 pages, but almost none of it is script. FSBO is all strategy. Strategy number 1 is if you run into an ad in Realtor Magazine or online or something like that that says list for sale by owners in 1 visit, move on. For sale by owners don't list in 1 visit unless you happen to just catch them at just some magical time. These are people who made a very conscious decision to sell their house, to bypass a realtor. They went out and bought a sign. They bought a marker. They wrote their phone number on the sign. They stuck the sign in the ground. They advertised it wherever the heck you found it. Okay. These are people who have committed to try to selling this house on their own. Do you think that they did this because they thought they were going to fail or because they thought they were going to succeed?
Succeed.
They thought they were going to succeed. Now here you are 2 days into it, banging on their door saying, hey, John, I noticed that you have your house for sale by owner. It's my obligation to tell you that the odds are you're going to fail at this. So why don't you just give me the listing now and I'll make you more money? Does that sound like a good approach to you?
Yep.
It sounds like a good approach. I like John's directness. Problem is, if I knock on their door and tell them that, they're going to tell me to go away. Eventually, they're going to realize that I was right.
They're going to say, give me more time.
If you go about it in a charismatic enough way, yes. If you go in there and they take you as like basically telling them they're going to fail, they're just going to tell you to go away and shut the door on you, right? Most likely, right? Now, again, if you can do it with some charisma, you can still save it. But I'm here to tell you there's an easier way. Now, John hit the key, though. I need more time. Give me more time. And that's what it is. Here's the real cycle. Here's the real cycle of a for sale by owner. Okay. A for sale by owner, week 1, they're just like a realtor. They're excited. They listed it. They're getting some phone calls. This is awesome. This is going to happen. We're going to save a boatload of money. That's a for sale by owner. Week 2, when the house doesn't sell, when those people came and looked and the house doesn't sell, in week 2, are they getting more phone calls or less? Less, right? On the second week, because just like us, the calls come in on week 1. and they're getting less calls, and you know, some of them come see the house, some of them don't, still doesn't sell. Week 3, they start to say, the phone's not really ringing that often, if it's ringing at all. And week 4, they say,
I need a realtor.
I might need to talk to a realtor. Now, again, right now, I don't know how realistic that is, because I think most houses are selling if you stick a sign out there with a reasonable price. But again, this is going to change. So my theory is this. John, would you agree it takes 3 to 4 weeks for a FSBO to realize this isn't happening? Well, it takes probably 2 weeks to realize it might not happen, a 3rd week to say it's probably not going to happen, and a 4th week to say we should talk to somebody, on average.
They gotta let their ego out of the way.
Exactly. And they have to try. There's nothing wrong with trying, is there?
Nothing.
I mean, other than the fact they lost a month, right? There's nothing wrong with trying. So my theory is go at it from that approach, thinking I have 4 weeks to win these people over. Because here's the great thing about FSBO and expireds with realtors, they usually take 1 try. So John knocks on the door, says, hey, listen, I am so glad that, you know, I see that you have a for sale by owner sign out there, which is awesome. We love those, right? So I see that you have a for sale by owner sign out there. You know, I'd really like to list your house for you because I can get it sold. I don't think that you can. Obviously, he'd say it in nicer ways. They say, you know what? We're going to try it our own. Thank you anyway. Goodbye. John leaves. If John is the average realtor, first of all, the average realtor isn't even going to make first contact with a FSBO. But if John is the average realtor that does make first contact with a FSBO, he's not going to make second contact. And if John makes second contact, the odds are he's not going to make third contact. And if he makes third contact, he's now like a week away from getting the listing. So he will make fourth contact. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if John can get in touch with these people once a week for this 4-week cycle, he stands a chance of getting a listing. I used to tell the people I coached all the time, you should always have 5 FSBOs on the hook. You should be at week 1, 2, 3, 4 with 5 FSBOs. Now, again, I know that's hard to do right now, but if I have 5 FSBOs and I stay in touch with them over the course of a 4 to 8 week, we'll call it period, right? I should be listing one of them every month. I'm going to lose the other 3. The other 3 are going to sell it. They're going to list it with somebody else, and they're not going to sell it at all because they can't afford to pay a commission. But I should be able to get 1 a month. So it takes me 8 weeks, okay, to ramp this up. And I should have at least 5 active at all times. So in other words, when 1 falls off, it's time to go out and get another one. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
And my job is going to be to stay in relationship with them for 4 to 8 weeks. And if I can do that once a month, I should be flipping a FSBO. Now, how do we go about doing that? Well, again, it's all about a strategy. Now, you can knock on a door, and I see trainers saying this all the time. Look, this is just me. I'm not saying that this doesn't work, but this is just me. I don't like starting a relationship with a lie. I don't want to knock on a door and say, or call someone and say, hey, my name's Greg. I'm from Success Real Estate. And, you know, I noticed that your house was for sale by owner. I have a buyer who might be interested. Could you tell me about the house? But I don't really have a buyer that's interested. And that's how a lot of people start their FSBO life. See, here's the thing. Another one is this. People go, they knock on the door, or they'll call them up and they'll say, hey, my name's Greg from Success Real Estate. Now, listen, I know you've been getting a lot of phone calls and stuff. I am not here to list your house. Do you think any seller in the world believes that a realtor knocked on their door while there's a for sale by owner sign on it, but he doesn't want to list the house? Do you think that any seller in the world is going to say, oh, really? Oh, that's convenient. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. Okay. So come in with honesty. Come in. I used to hear this all the time and I hated it till I tried doing it. You ever hear come in from, you know, come from contribution? Come in and be honest. Here's what I say to people, right? The approach of FSBO. So first of all, when you go to a FSBO, do your homework, because a FSBO, unlike an expired, will talk to you. A FSBO is going to talk to you. A FSBO wants your opinion on price. They want to know what you think of the house. They don't really know what they're doing, and they know you do. So they will be willing to talk to you. So do your homework. Know what the houses in the area cost, because they will ask you. Okay. See, because here's where they get their information. They're going to say that the house down the street sold for $499, right? So like my house is $525 because it's bigger. And you're going to be like, well, actually that house was listed for $499, but it sold for $465. They know the list price, not the sold price. You see what I'm saying? So when you go, make sure you have your information with you because they will talk to you. They're the opposite of the expired. They don't want to list with you, but they want your information. Jared, do you have a hand up?
Yes.
Yes, a good thing you happen to be on my screen. If anybody has to say anything, just jump in and say it. So I wouldn't have seen you if you weren't on my screen. Go ahead.
Gotcha. Quick question. So in this case too, do you want to not give them everything? Do you want to hold some of the info? Because I guess part of my thinking is if you tell them all this information, they're going to be like, all right, great. Maybe I'll just reduce the house price myself because that's what's selling in the neighborhood. And then, see you later to this guy. What are your thoughts on that? Or
That's a good question. In this market, I'm not going to give too much information because they will sell the house. In most markets, the odds of a FSBO selling the house, a person finding the house and them selling it is pretty low. And to be honest with you, if somebody wants that house, they're going to find it from that FSBO. So generally, I will tell them what a house sold for. I mean, after all, it's public record. They could go to the town or the city and find out how much that house sold for. So I'm not too worried about that. But in a market like this, I'm not going to help too much because they're not stupid. They're going to figure it out on their own. If this house isn't selling in this market, I must have it priced too high. But when we're in a market where houses sit for a while, there's nothing really wrong with giving them that information. Don't forget, they think they're going to sell it quickly on their own. They don't know how it really works. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but that's a good question.
okay.
My approach is this, and I'm going to read this one because honestly, I don't do this one a lot. I'm not as comfortable with this one as my expired script, right? So the first script is going to say, again, something along these lines. Hey, my name's Greg from Success Real Estate. I noticed your for sale sign and I wanted to introduce myself. Would you mind telling me about your home? I didn't ask him to list it. I didn't tell him why I was there. I asked him if he could tell me about the home. Okay. And the client, here's the number one objection that you're going to get. Why do you want to know about my house? I'm selling it on my own. I don't need a real estate agent. Have any of you ever knocked on a FSBO's door, by the way? And have you not heard that very same thing?
Yeah.
Why do you want to know about it? Like some of them want to talk up a storm to you. Others are like very apprehensive. Like, look, you're not here selling to me. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let you sell to me. And you can easily get by that one because they do, even though they don't want to list with you, they want your opinion. I pulled up to a FSBO's house once. The guy was outside. I pulled over. I rolled my window down. I told him who I was. I said, hey, just out of curiosity, I said, I'm a realtor and I work in this area. I was just wondering how much you selling the house for. This guy gave me a list of 30 things. And then number 31 was the price of the house. Then he said, what do you think? So he wanted me to know the price, but he wanted to defend that price. And then he wanted my opinion on the price. Of course, the answer I gave him was what?
Let me look at it.
You're way over.
Bingo. I don't know. I haven't seen the inside yet, right? I haven't done my homework. Would you mind if I came in and had a look around? And like, you know what I mean? Like that's an opening for a listing appointment, right? So they will do that, right? So now, but here's the thing. You got to get by that initial objection. And they're going to say, look, I'm not using a realtor, so don't bother, right? And so listen, no, I understand that, but it's important to me to know the inventory of the area that I work in. It's not uncommon for one of my buyers to ask me the price of the FSBO down the street. It's my job to be able to answer them. So you'd be helping me if I can know about your house, and maybe I'd be able to find a buyer for you. Is that coming from honesty?
Yeah.
Right? I'm being honest there. Okay. Oh, okay. I see the price is blah, blah, blah. Right. Thanks. How did you determine your price? Well, this house over here sold for this house over here sold for that, blah, blah, blah. All I'm doing is getting into a conversation. That's all I'm doing. Okay. And I can go through this and say, all right, cool. Thanks. That helps me out quite a bit. Just out of curiosity, what made you decide to sell? Right. John answered why I say that earlier. I want to know their motivation. Do I want a FSBO? I have an uncle, my uncle Nicky. My uncle Nicky had a house that he overpriced by 50 grand in Rhode Island, in Smithfield, Rhode Island. And he said, when I get this amount, I will move to Florida. Zero motivation. I did not want to list that house. I did not list that house. He was doing it FSBO no matter what anyway. He wasn't going to let me list the house. But I didn't feel like I was missing anything because he had zero motivation. He was way overpriced, probably like 70 grand overpriced. But eventually, guess what happened?
Sold it.
The market kept going up and eventually he sold it, and he lives in Florida now. He lives down in the Villages. And I say good for him. But could you imagine that house sat there for 3 years before he sold it? But he was in no rush. He was like, if I get this number, I'm moving to Florida. He got the number, he moved to Florida. So I need to know, I don't want to get myself involved with an Uncle Nicky, in other words. You know what I'm saying? So I want to know what their motivation is. Again, all I'm really doing here is building a relationship, right? All I want to do is, and then I'm going to ask it. Here's the key. I don't care what questions you ask. This is just an example. Okay, but here's what you got to ask before you leave. I only have one more question. What can I do to help you get your home sold? Huh? Why in the world would you ask? Why would you ask me that? Now their radar's really up, isn't it?
Top of mind.
Say that again.
Top of mind.
Well, top of mind is a big
Right,
part of
'cause
this,
it-
but also,
Yeah,
I'm
if they
gonna
don't sell it in 4 weeks, 3-4 weeks, and they're like, oh shit, well, Greg just came by and he seemed really nice. We have a rapport. He knew his stuff. Top of mind. He knows you're in the business. He knows you work with referrals, and boom.
and here's what I'm going to tell them. Here's what I'm going to tell them. You know what? It's fair of you to ask that. I'd probably think it's a loaded question too, and it kind of is. Here's the thing. We might be able to help each other. If I can help you, you might be able to return some buyer who doesn't want to buy your house. You may be able to refer them to me. Okay. Another thing is I find that some for sale by owners are able to sell their house. Others are not. If I'm helping you out and you decide that you do want to list the house at some point, I'm hoping that I will be one of the realtors that you call to interview for that job. There's nothing special to approaching a FSBO. I think honesty is the best way to do it. It's like, look, I can help you out with stuff. Okay. And if it works, if you meet a buyer who's looking for a realtor, you can refer them over to me. But if your house doesn't sell and you decide that you do want a realtor, I feel like it's best for me to come in with my best foot forward right at the beginning, so that hopefully in 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 months, whatever it may be, I'm one of the guys you're going to call for the job. Does that make sense to anybody?
Yes.
Okay. Now on the script, it talks, in greater detail about this stuff. Here's the thing. You don't leave every one of these 4 contacts. You don't leave until you ask the magic question. Who knows what the magic question is?
You know, someone who might be looking to buy or sell?
Oh, that's the other magic question. I love that. 2 magic questions, right? The magic question for the FSBO to me is it okay if I reach out to you next week to see how you made out this week?
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Because I know most of them are not going to come back a second time. Next week, I'm going to call them up or go to their house, whatever it may be. I'm like, I'll be like, John, what's your phone number? I just want to call you next week, see how you made out. I know you have some showings to see how you did. Okay. I might be able to help you with some mortgage, mortgage information, things like that, some staging info, whatever you need. Great. Okay. Next week, hey, John, it's Greg, just checking in. How'd you make out last week? I was pretty good. We had, they'll be energetic. They had some showings. That's awesome. Listen, do you need anything? No, I'm good right now. Awesome. Listen, if you need anything, give me a call. If not, I'll check back with you in a week. Is that okay? What am I doing here? I'm putting myself in a position. Say that again, John.
Top of mind. You're putting them yourself.
That's right. I'm getting my top of mind and I'm outlasting everybody else. Like I say, there's no magic. 4 weeks is not a magic number. It might take 8, it might take 12, but I'm going to reach out to them every week and just ask them how they're doing. Do you need anything? That's how I'm going to approach a FSBO. Are there any questions on? I know I don't go deep into it. We will go deeper into it if we were actually
in that type of market.
Yeah, if we were in that type of market and if we were doing class specifically on FSBO, we go deeper into it, different approaches and whatnot. But I want to make sure you get the idea. The strategy is this. You have at least 4 weeks. Make a friend. Make a friend and be honest. Let them know. It's very refreshing these days to be honest with somebody. When's the last time, like, look, yeah, I understand you might sell it. and I might help you sell it, and that would probably not be good for me, but you might refer a buyer to me. You might refer one of your friends to me. And in a few weeks, you might decide you need a realtor. So why not help you? I do this anyway. Okay, what's another thing? Ian Schwartz, you introduce Ian to this, right? Right? Listen, if you need anybody pre-qualified or anything, call my friend Ian. She can help you out too. Okay. So again, we have lots that we can offer without having to sign an agency relationship with them. Okay. Any questions on FSBOs? Now let's talk about circle marketing.
Can I throw something in on FSBOs?
Sure, please do.
I'm assuming, a lot of, they want to sell the house because they want to save money on the commission. They're gonna, save X amount of dollars. However, there's that cost of waiting. Most people have a mortgage and they're making that mortgage payment every single month while their house isn't selling, and they're trying to save money on the commission. So I think there's also that trade-off that people need to be aware of, that they're probably not even thinking about.
No, but remember, again, they are, you're right. They're not even at that point yet. And that's a conversation I'm having week 2, maybe week 3, possibly week 4 with them. But it's definitely a conversation we're going to have to get into. No question about it. Good. All right. Any other questions or comments? Anything that anybody else is doing that works with FSBOs?
Just one thing, like if they determine to sell the home by themselves,
Yep.
just maybe offer to help them buy the new home because they're gonna have
Yep.
to live someplace when they're done.
Exactly. Like I said, there are a lot of reasons why you can offer them help with their listing without you having it listed that can still benefit you as well. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Good. All right. Circle marketing. Again, that's cold calling. Okay. And what we're going to talk about, and I lost my notes. There we go. We're just going to talk about a couple of opportunities to circle market. Cold call, cold knock, whatever you want to call it. Okay. New listings, open houses, and a hot market. Are we in a hot market?
Seller's market.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, is it uncommon to see a house sell for 15, 20% over, well, 10, let's say 10% over list in just a couple of days?
Very common.
Very common to see that. Do you think people know it's a hot market? Do they know how hot it is? See, we think everybody knows our industry inside out and backwards. They don't. Okay, they don't. So they may know that the houses are selling fast and that the prices are going up, but do they know that they're selling for over asking in just a few days? Not everybody does. And this is a good opportunity for you to get out there and make phone calls. I say this all the time, right? The power of the word no is huge. If you don't hear no a ton of times, you can't hear yes a bunch of times. It's all about hearing no to hear yes. If you never hear no, you can't possibly ever hear yes. Because 80, 90, depending on the activity you're doing, up to 99% of the time, the answer is no. But let's just say that cold calling is a 1 in 100 shot for you. Well, then you would know that every 100 phone calls you make, there's a sale on the 100th one. You understand what I'm saying? It's not 100, it's about 200, but still, for every 200 phone calls I make, I can make a sale. I have to hear no roughly 199 times cold calling to hear yes once. So I need reasons to make those calls, and a hot market is a very good reason to make the call. An open house is a very good reason to make the call, right? And a new listing is a very good reason to make the call. And on here, you will find 3 scripts, which I'm going to give you the gist of them, but I'm not going to read them all to you. 3 scripts that you can use to circle market. Okay. Now to circle market, you generally need a tool like Cole Directory, COLE, or some type of a tool like that basically gives you the phone numbers and the names of the people around the house. Basically, it's a phone book that works by street, and they're online now. You have to pay for it, but it's there. If you don't want to pay for it, you can always go door knocking. You can always go door knocking. And basically the script is like, hey, listen, I just wanted to invite you, as one of the neighbors, I wanted to invite you to the open house that we're holding on Sunday. Now, if you want, you could even do like the first hour just for neighbors and put out some like food or something for them just to get to know them. And I just wanted to introduce you to the new listing that I have. Because I know that one of the best ways for me to sell a house is people who already live in the neighborhood and love it, tell their friends about it. So I wanted you to know that I listed John Connolly's house down the street at 123 Smith Street. It's got 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and blah, blah, blah. It's $450,000. And if you know anybody that's interested, could you please have them call me? Because I'm looking to put, some good neighbors in there for them. Blah, 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 right? This is all academic, right? You're all sitting there going, blah, 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 right? Like, because you're ready, you're just waiting to hang up. Here's the part that matters. Number one, 2 things. Number one, they might know somebody, probably not, but they might. And number 2 is the thing I'm going to say next. By the way, do you know anybody else in the neighborhood that's thinking of selling their home? Because some people want to live in this neighborhood, but not necessarily in that house. And I like to have another house to show them. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And they're going to mostly say no. But eventually, guess what somebody's going to say to you? And you're going to say, holy shit, that guy was right. They're going to say, you know what? My next door neighbor just told me that they're going to be selling their house in a couple of months because they're moving to blah, blah, blah. Well, guess who my next call is? I guess the next house I knock on is. You see what I'm saying? That's what circle marketing does for you. I have 3 scripts for you. Can you think of any other example of why you might circle market? Like what other events could happen that could make you do circle marketing in an area?
Pick up a buyer for your listing.
Yeah, no, I mean like a specific group of people to circle market to. Like again, we do it around listings, new listings, open houses, hot markets. What else could we circle market to? How about first-time home
Expired?
buyers?
What kind?
If we're doing a first-time home buyer seminar.
Exactly. Exactly, right? And again, I know this is a listing class, but I like to bring this up. You can organize a first-time home buyer seminar, get a list of first-time home buyers. You can buy lists anywhere. Well, not anywhere, but there's lots of places to buy lists from. You can even rent lists, okay? And basically you call and invite them to that first-time home buyer seminar. Okay. So there's lots of opportunities there. Are there any questions on any questions on circle marketing?
Nope.
The last thing I want to talk about, this is something that I picked up. I went to a seminar. We didn't do webinars when I started real estate. We did seminars. I actually went and sat in a room all day. Anybody here ever heard of a guy named Roger Butcher?
No.
Slick salesman from California. He put together this program, to help realtors get busier. And one of the things he taught us was an absentee owner, which I loved because it's so easy. You can almost put it on autopilot. And every once in a while, it's like just like a listing just appears at your door. You're not going to get a ton of them. Okay, but for very little work, every now and then, you're literally going to get a phone call and somebody to say, can you come list my house? And absentee owners, as we described earlier, are people generally who are renting a house out and don't live in it. How do you get a list of absentee owners? You might be able to get it right from your MLS, okay, depending on where you are and what town you're looking in. But basically, you want to look at tax records and say, here's the address of the house. Here's the address that the tax bill is mailed to. If they are different, you have a
Landlord.
absentee owner, right? A landlord, right? Exactly. And then basically you make a list. And what I would do is I would make 4 groups. I would go to 4 different areas. Okay. And I would just, pick certain streets that I was interested in selling houses on. Okay. And I would go through the tax. We used to have to go to the town office to do this. So I would go there and I'd write down my list and I would get, depending on your budget, 25 names, 50 names, because these are letters you're going to have to send out once a month. So there's a cost to this. And I would just get 4 different groups. Okay. And every 3 months, I would send them basically the exact same letter. This one. And this letter basically says, my name's Greg and I'm a realtor at Success Real Estate. I noticed that you don't live at the property at 123 Smith Street. And I wanted to make sure that you were aware of what's happening in the real estate market in this neighborhood. As the local real estate expert for that area, I keep a close eye on the market, blah, blah, blah. I feel it's important to offer the homeowners in the area, to offer this service to the homeowners in the area that may not be aware of what's going on. I'm just kind of paraphrasing here. As a homeowner myself, I like to know when the market is going up or down so I can plan accordingly. If this is of interest to you, please either call or text me at blah or email me at blah and include your address along with a quick message telling me you'd like market updates. Now, I used to take, I would get, every now and then, right? That's the whole letter, right? And every 3 months I would send it. And every once in a while, one of them would email me or call me, text me, whatever it may be, page me. Back when I started this, it was a pager. Okay. Very first one paged me. And they would say, yeah, I'd like those market updates. And I would have to manually do it. I would have to manually go in there. I'd set aside, a couple hours once a month, once every 2 months, whatever it was. And I would just send him a quick overview of what sold in that area. I would just set up a saved search for him and I would print it and I would send it to him. The sold properties. Okay. Now, again, you have stuff like HomeBot, right? You have the marketing product that you guys have, which will give them the whole area. It doesn't have to be as automated. You see what I'm saying? But when somebody replies to this letter, what did you just get? A listing lead. So every 3 months, fold it up, stick it in an envelope and send it out. It's manual, but manual still works. Okay.
I'll show you how to do that in MLS. It's really easy.
There you go. Perfect. Okay. So you can do this. And then next month I send out group 2. And then the following month I send out group 3. And then the following month I send it out to group 1 again. And I just keep doing it. Absentee owners are not going to make you rich. But if done with consistency, it can add, 2 to 4 more listings to your life every single year. And if you're in, John said his average price range is about 400 grand. If you can add an extra 800 to 1.6 million in sales every year for just simply sending out a letter once a month, what do you think? Is that worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
So the last thing, because we have the time, I don't normally talk about this, but Ann had mentioned it because you guys have a tool for it. My number one way when I was, when I was young in real estate, like I said, there was no Zillow. You didn't capture online leads. Okay. And again, I'll go back to this Roger Butcher program. They gave me this absentee owner. And it's funny, you're going to go back to the old time trainers to get good listing tips, because that's what they used to do. They got listing leads. They weren't worried about buyer leads, so you got listing leads. So what Roger Butcher used to do was he had a whole part of his program. He had a whole bunch of reports, nothing that you can't create on your own. You don't need Roger Butcher, right? And these reports all had names that were meant to scare you, right? So like let's just say you're going for a listing lead, what are the top 5 questions you need to ask before you hire the wrong realtor to sell your house? Right? What are the 5 staging tips that are going to get you more money for your house? Right? What are the 3 things you have to look for in a buyer who's out to scam you? Whatever it was, it's got to be there. They'll be like, oh, I need to save money. I need to do this. I'm thinking of selling a house. This is stuff I need to know. Does that make sense to everybody? So basically what he used to do, we used to have the reports and we used to have these cards, right? Just a piece of paper folded in half, and it was on cardstock, and it'd be like a phone. I still remember it was a phone with a cord running around it, like a border. And in it, it said free reports you can't miss. And I listed all of the free reports, and all they had to do was call me and send me their address, and I would mail them their free report. And I used to take these to open houses with me. I'd take them to showings. I'd leave them at places. I had these things all over the place, and people always requesting free reports. Well, it's gotten much easier these days. We can do this online. Now, generally speaking, I'm going to give you one example. So basically, I want to create a report for listings. I'm going to say, all right, what is something that a seller is worried about? Would you say a seller is worried about hiring the wrong agent? Probably, right? I don't want to hire the wrong person. I don't know what to ask, right? That's why do you think most sellers only call one realtor, by the way? you think they really, really trust that guy, or they just don't know the difference and they don't know what to ask? They don't know the difference. They don't know what to ask. So you give them the questions. These are the top 5 questions you have to ask your listing agent before you hire them. Are you full-time? Do you have a team? I don't care what your 5 questions are. Explain to them why they ask these questions, what to look for in the answer. You create a report. The next thing you do is you go to a website. You can go to a free website. I'm going to share my screen. Everybody get ready. You're about to see John, okay? Because John happens to be on my screen right now. So John, look alive. There we go. Oh, actually, it got rid of John. My bad. Sorry, John. I got you all looking pretty and everything for nothing. See? All right. So basically, I'm going to go to this one. I think it's called WOOFOO. Woofoo? Yeah, WU, sorry. WUFOO. Woofoo.com. This is a website. It's either free or pay. You can do it either way. And basically speaking, you can come in here and create an online, what do you call it? An online form. Okay, here he goes. 5 questions before you hire a listing agent right here. This is free. Okay, so let's see if I can see it. I haven't used this in a while. Let's see if I can just show it to you, what the form looks like. Here we go, view form. So basically, here it is, right? So basically somebody's on, let's just say Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. You put it on a subject, in the signature line of your emails, right? Click here for 5 questions that you need to ask before you hire your listing agent. Everybody with me? As soon as they click on it, this pops up. They submit it. As soon as they do, thanks for filling out the form, your report is on its way. Okay, now this would be automated. See this right here? See this? This is the key to this. This would actually be the report. I would customize this page and give them the report here. What this program also does is it sends the person, I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if it came yet. Here it is. I don't know if you can see this on my phone or not, but me, the customer, and me, the realtor, received an email from Woofoo saying, hey, here's the report that you signed up for. This is a confirmation email, but what you can do is go in and customize it and actually make it the report. So if they give you a fake email address, guess what? They don't get their report. You see what I'm saying? So you can create these and you can put them in a number of places. You can share them. You can embed them on your website. You can create a link and put it in your email. You can put it in your Instagram. You could create, you could even work video into this. How many of you use stuff like Vidyard, which is free, right? You could create an a video and send the results in a video, explaining to them why this is so important. So in other words, they get their result, they get their, we get the email that shows the 5 questions and why you need to ask them and what they're looking for. And then they can say, click here to watch a video of more important things to consider when you're going to hire your listing agent. And you really make that a commercial about hiring you. You see what I'm saying? So this is another cool little free tool that you can use to capture more business. Now, Ian was also talking about something that had something to do with this. Is this what you were talking about, Ian?
No, I've never heard of this.
Okay, now what were you talking about then on their CMA program?
On the CMA program?
Yeah, remember I said we were at the beginning of the class, you said they have a tool for that?
No, that
you?
was me.
Oh, was that Chris? I'm
That was
sorry.
Chris,
I thought that was Ian. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Chris, I don't know why you two sound a lot alike to me at the beginning of this call.
That's okay.
So what
Don't
was
make me crazy.
which one that you were talking about?
So I have, from your presentation today, I have 4 things to circle back on. If
Great.
you want me to start now, I can.
Start now, because again, that's the whole purpose of this class, is to give an overview, and then you guys decide which one you want to dive deeper into.
So let me share my screen. So first thing, just to sort of talk about Woo forms, Those are
Mhm.
great, but we also, anybody who is a Google user has access to Google Forms, which does the
Mhm.
same thing.
Yep.
So I know most of our agents are familiar with Google Forms because we use them in-house. So you can create those on your own as well, that do everything that Google Forms, you just saw that little demo on. The other thing, the first thing that we talked about was Cloud CMA and offering a automated report to add to those 30 touches. So if you go into your MLS and you go to Cloud CMA up here, we have a branded brokerage account for everybody. You just need to set it up if it's not set up. I usually do that when you come on board. Once you set it up, you set up a report that goes out to these automated leads. It's called Web Lead. Instructions are everywhere. I can do it for you as well, but here's where you access it. So you go Cloud CMA up to the top right, you go to, excuse me, lead generation. And here is your lead generation tool that all of our agents have access to. It can be embedded on a website. You can put it in your email signature. It's a what's my home worth automated report. You choose what goes in it. If anybody fills it out, you get an automated email right back to you telling you who they were, what their address was, and what their confirmation email was as well. So
Good.
the landing page is not customizable, but it's, you know, it works.
Doesn't have to be.
Nope.
As long as you're up in that top left corner, it does the job.
So you can also send these to people on your own if you want to. That's one thing that you can do that's quick and easy. It's already ready to go. If you need help with that, just come see me. The other thing is on our Success Real Estate website, you have a back-end piece to this. Under Tools, SRE Agent Login, everybody has a login here. If you don't know your login, what it would be is the email address we have on file for you, and you can just click Forgot Password. It'll send that to you. In the back end of your piece of our website, this is what it looks like. You can add leads in the dashboard back here. Once you add a lead, create is add a lead. You can manage your leads to receive automatic market activity reports on any town or county that you set them up for. So these are my leads. If I click on lead info right here, you can see that there is a market reports tab right here. So you can set them up for any market activity report that you want. It'll come from you automatically once a week. And it's really just awesome. I'll show you what they look like. It's very professional looking. It's once a week. It's interactive, so you can click on all this stuff. It shows them what's happening in the town, what's changed, new listings, upcoming open houses. And again, it comes from you. So it's automated. It's once a week. It's totally free. You already have access to it. So that's another thing you can do. So it's Google Forms. That's the market activity reports from our back end of our website, and the Cloud CMA market reports that people can get on your behalf. Absentee owners, super easy to look for in MLS. So just go to Tools, Public Records. Everybody should be familiar with this. Search whatever area, town that you want. I just used my old neighborhood as an example. Drive, Plymouth, Mass. You add advanced criteria, absentee owner, yes. And it'll show you every single absentee owner in that neighborhood. All you have to do is click labels. You select them all first. Select them all, labels. Here we go, print. And here's your labels to all your absentee owners. Your letters go out once a month, right? That's what we were talking about. Super easy.
Nice.
So there you go. And if you, I know that was quick, but this is recorded. And if you ever need help with any of this, just make an appointment with me.
That works. Everybody got all that?
Yep.
So you already have a lot of tools to do this. The key, you know, if you get, you know, what I really want you to get out of today is stop thinking so much about buyers and start thinking about sellers, because listing agents have an easier time of real estate than buyer agents do. They just do. And again, don't ignore your buyers. But if all of your lead generating is pointing you towards buyers, you need to implement some new things. See, the dog agrees.
Hey, Greg,
Yes.
question for you. Are you sending out those scripts today or is that Chris?
Chris, do you have those in your email?
I do. I will send out this recording. I will send out the scripts and a nice little post to everybody. It'll come right to you.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
You got it. Anybody have any other questions, comments? Anything
wanna
that
thank-
works for you that we want to cover someday?
I want to thank you. I really appreciate everything. You've done a great job. Second time.
Thank you,
around.
John.
Hopefully we can do this the second half of the year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I got to get ready for my noontime. Stay safe. Thank you. Thank
Same
you.
here.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody. Take
you.
care. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye-bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.